Good morning everyone, it's Joker, and today we're back with another slime video, and it is time for Heroes Jubilee boss battles. Only two again, just the 5-turn and the 7-turn limit, which is fine. It's less grinding for me, so thank God. But since this Jubilee is meta-specific and you have to use a space team, your options are pretty limited, if we're going to be perfectly honest with you. So I don't have a lot of teams to show. I only have 2 teams for normal, or for boss 1, and then 1 team for boss 2, because it's the only team that I've found that I can work with. Even on my Asia account, who has Guy and Belzard. I don't have Leon, I don't have Rain, so I can't maximize all those debuffs, and so the score that I get by using Belzard and Guy is actually lower than what I was getting with the team that I actually used to get my score. So we're currently technically rank 8 on the North America server once these bots are gone, which I'm fairly pleased with. We will have some late pushers. We still got 4 more days of Jubilee, so I don't expect to stay in top 10. Especially once these videos go up, people will take the strats and then they will outpace me, which is fine because that's the whole point of me putting these videos out. If I wanted to be a greedy bastard, then I wouldn't post anything and y'all could suffer, but other people will find strategies. Other people will pass me, and that's fine. So, let's go on. Let's take a look at my boss scores. So, rank 14, which I'm pretty sure there's bots in both of these. So, 44-3 and then 100,000. But, you know, if you have the full wanked out Space 2.0 team, you can definitely go higher than that. 148, 133, even 116s, 15s. So, if you have Guy, Velzard, Rain, Leon especially with his 80% ult boost, that would definitely help out your score quite a bit, but I can't show that team, so I can't run it and have an example of it. So let's just kind of dive into what I can show you guys. Alright, so here is the first team, the lowest scoring option of the 3 that I have for normal 1. So we've got Cabby, Rimuru, Valentine for her greens. Yuki is here for his orb change, but I later learned, because I recorded this early, that Space Hawkro 4-star has the same orb change and he's space, so that will, you know, increase your damage a little bit by having, you know, his normal attacks still being type advantage. So if you have Space Hawkro, I would use him over Yuki. And then the hero and Milim. So this team is pretty much all about building up greens as much as possible. That way you have enough skill points to use the attack boost from Rimuru, the hero crit buff, Drago, and the space boost, all in, you know, on the final nuking turn. It's not what I would consider consistent at all, even though we have 2 orb changers here, and the score is significantly lower. But if you don't have VELDORA, if you don't have Guy, and you have these units, then at least you can make something out of it, right? So let's jump ahead. Here we go. Here's the beginning of the final fight. Okay. So, turn 1, you're going to orb change with Yuki / Hawkro, whoever you have. Make a full 6 hand of green, and then bring in the hero and Milim from the back line. That'll get you Cabby. So, next turn, if you happen to be blessed and get a good hand, you can use some orb changing with Valentine, and then you can pretty much have ults ready. And if you really get extra lucky, you could, you know, get multiple ults, lots of greens, and then you can ult multiple times this entire run. That doesn't happen with me, though, because I'm terribly unlucky. One other thing that I found out later on is that they all have that 40% reduction to magic damage, but the golems, by having an inherent -20 to it, it actually cuts it back, so your magic attacks against the golems will do more damage, because Beretta will have the full 40% magic resistance, but the golems only end up having 20%, so Milim can do slightly more damage to the golems. So if you're going to attack with her, if you're going to nuke with her, it's always better to attack the golems rather than Beretta, because it's that tiny little bit of points that you're missing out on if you didn't realize that, which I didn't realize in the beginning until someone in Discord told me about it, so thank you. So here, like, we're working on it. We didn't get amazing hands. I kind of just want to leave everyone up front to get ults as quick as possible. We can use the rewind here, and then we can use these oranges and pray that the next hand is a whole bunch of greens, because we have Milim's ult now, and Rimuru, so ideally, I could swap one of them out, or both of them out, bring Yuki and Valentine in, and get a whole hand of greens, which works out pretty well right there. So we're gonna swap. We're gonna use Drago first, right? And then we're gonna send Milim away for Valentine. And then we're going to use Val's Orb Change, and then we get a whole hand of green. And then this will get us the Hero's ult, it'll get us plenty of Rimuru, so this worked out pretty well. This is the nuking, well, next turn is the nuking turn. We have 180 skill points, we only needed 165. 180 if I wanted to pop Drago on the same turn, but we don't have to do that, so this works out. We have a double ult for Rimuru, which doesn't really matter, because we only have one turn. Thankfully, we have Valentine cards, so we can actually bring in Milim and have her ult. Pop Cabby, because why not? It's whatever. So here, swap her out for Milim. We've got 3 ults. We're going to triple boost with the attack, with the crit, and the space. And then we're going to nuke in. So here, I should have sent the Milim ult against the Golem. But again, I didn't know at the time. But now you guys know, so you can do that. So there's Rimuru's AoE, 47k-ish, the hero does 60-ish, and then Milim comes with 110, and she got a natural pierce in there too, so it's pretty good. And then they didn't guard that final hit, so also good. So 613 damage score, I believe the damage cap is 900,000, so yeah, definitely have some work to do if you want to hit that damage cap. But there's the first team run, 35-6. It's about 9k less than what I currently have. Again, it's not the best team in the world, but it will get you points, and it will give you something out of it. So there's your first option. Let's move on to the second option. Okay, so here is the second team. We've got Space VELDORA now, Rimuru, Water Shuna for the ult boost, Space Hakuro, because, like I said, he has the same orb change as Yuki, so we're going to use him from now on. And then the hero, and then Ranga as triple AoE with triple buffs. The ult, the attack, and the crit. Along with the extra attack we get from a few VELDORA stacks. So, the idea of this is still, nuking on the final turn with all the buffs active. Just, getting the stacks of VELDORA that you need to get up to the 180 skill points to use it. And ideally having, space for all 3 ults on the final turn. So let's zoom forward a little bit. Alright, and then here we go. So again, turn 1, orb change with Hakuro, and then send both him and Shuna away. So we can start working on Ranga and Hero's ults. So there's the orb change. Now here comes the swap. So it doesn't really matter who. Rimuru's already in that spot to get that next orb, so just swap the units out. Send it. Again, I didn't know then, but I should have sent Ranga attacks on the golems and then left the physical attacks for Beretta. Please remember to do that in your runs. Here we actually get, somewhat interestingly lucky, is that we get a whole bunch of Ranga attacks. We have a VELDORA stack, so we're going to pop it here. And now we're going to rewind, because this will get Ranga's ult, and then we can send him to the back and we can hold him there for until the end of the battle, until we need to stack up again with VELDORA. So we're going to rewind there. It gets us a good amount of protection gauge as well. So now what we can do is we can bring in Hakuro for Ranga. I mean, he only had 1 card, 1 orb, so it doesn't really matter. I believe I send the hero orbs here. Yeah. So what I could do, what I could have done instead was use the Hakuro orb change again, but we didn't. But it actually worked out, because now we have 2 blues and 4 greens again, and Hakuro changes those. We have another stack, but it's unfortunate because I want that stack to go on to Ranga. But if I bring Ranga in, we're going to change one of those orbs to orange when we send him away, and then Ranga is our green to orange, or orange to green orb changer, so it wouldn't work. So I forego the extra stack on Ranga for the 6-card send of greens. So we're going to stack up Rimuru and Hero. They're going to do more damage regardless because of the magic resistance, and Ranga is magic. So we're just going to send this here and, you know, get maximum skill points. We'll get the Hero's ult. We're just one orb shy pretty much from having Rimuru's ult. We're almost to another stack of VELDORA. So we're actually looking pretty good this run. So there's an attack, we get a sweet counter, but they guard it. We get 2 counters. Didn't guard the second one, so cool. So now we have Hero's ult. We just need Rimuru's ult, which we can easily get with these 2 Rimuru orbs right here. So I'm just going to make sure that we have room and send these, right? Because I don't want to swap people out, because I've been screwed over a lot of times where just people don't get orbs. So I want to make sure we leave those Hakuros for something. That way we have room to bring Ranga in. So now what we can do is we're going to swap Hakuro for Shuna for that ult boost first. Don't forget the ult boost, right? So pop that. Now the ults are boosted. Now we're going to bring Ranga in for her, and that way we have triple ults. It's unfortunate that we didn't have a 6-card send here, and they weren't all hero orbs, but it's whatever. So now it's triple AoE, Ranga, Rimuru, Hero, and then follow up with the Ranga, since that'll give us that higher multiplier on that last orb. So 58 for Rimuru, or no, Hero. No. Ranga. So 90 almost for the Hero. So 58, 60-something, and then 90 for the Hero. Just she has a higher multiplier, and she's level 100. So we're actually looking pretty good. We got like a 770-something, yeah, 787 damage score right there. So still not quite 900 for the cap, but it's higher than what the Cabby team got. And if you get some extra luck with some stacks, then you can definitely push that a little higher. So 41.8 is the score right there. Again, I redid that and I got 44.3, and that's my highest score so far. So it worked out pretty well. So that works. Let's move on to the third team, which I actually had to pull over my Asia account for. Alright, here is the Asia account and the team that I used over there for just for testing. We've got Guy and we've got Velzard on the account, so we can definitely make use of them. Velzard being the orb changer, so we don't need to bring Yuki or Hakuro. Rimuru, Ranga, Hero, and then Misery for that green boost. So we're still going with the triple AoE. It's just that this is much easier to get ults, and ideally you would want probably 6 ults total, because Guy is, you know, giving ult gauge, and then greens are being boosted by Misery, and you have a whole bunch of greens that aren't nerfed because Guy is orb changing. You also have the Frostbite and debuff from Guy, so this team works very well. If you have Leon, you can swap him out for Ranga. If you have Misery, you can swap her out for maybe Rimuru, maybe Misery. I don't actually know if you would actually bring Rain here. But Leon, since he does have that super cheap 80% ult boost for himself, will do a lot of damage when combined with the Hero crit and all of those debuffs, and then Frostbite on top of that. So let's go ahead and jump in. So yeah, 6 ults, so total. That'll bump your score up decently well. So here, we got the orb change with Velzard, and then we're going to bring in Hero and Ranga, because I'm pretty sure my Ranga, being a higher leveled unit with a higher ult multiplier, being at 92 than my Velzard 80, he will do more damage, even with the magic resistance down. So we're going to go ahead and send 6 again. Now we're starting to target the Golem. So you see, we sent the 2 Ranga attacks against the Golem, but then sent the physicals against Beretta. That is what I'm talking about. That is what you want to do. And again, we get an interesting hand of Ranga. So we can go ahead and use the rewind here, and then we can also pop Guy if we wanted to, but I don't really want to right here. So we're going to send the Ranga, and we're going to leave Guy for after the rewind, or we're going to use him now. Okay, we use him now. Sorry, I misspoke. So this will get us the Hero and Ranga's ult. So again, we're targeting the 4 Rangas on the Golem, and then moving over with the Hero to Beretta. Unfortunately, we didn't get a 2-2-2. That way we could have gotten, you know, triple ults, but hopefully on the rewind we get some Rimuru orbs. So the next turn we have triple ult, and we do. So we can, use the orb change for Ranga, and then we can bring in Velzard for orb change, because we don't need Ranga and Hero up here. They already have their ults, it's fine. So we can bring Velzard in, use her orb change for that full 6-card send, and then we'll actually have enough points to bring in Misery for her orb change, or for her orb boost as well. So right here, I could have used Velzard's Frostbite, but I would have had to use it again later on, because it's only for 3 turns and we have 4 turns left, so I want to make sure we make the most of it by using all the ults when we have all of the things active. So we forego using Frostbite here. We're going to send the 6-card send. They're boosted green, so we have plenty of ult gauge now, plenty of protection gauge. And then next turn, we're going to bring in Ranga. We're actually, I think, going to use Velzard first for the Frostbite here. That way it's active for the rest of the fight, 3 turns. And then we'll bring Ranga in. And thankfully Velzard has some orbs to swap out. So there's Frostbite, we do some instant damage, and then we bring Ranga in. And now we're going to use one of the buffs, the attack boost, I think. Yeah. And then we can use Guy. We have double of it, so there's no point in really holding on to any more of it right here. So Hero now has double ult, so excellent. She'll have, you know, even more because we've got 2 orbs for her. Ranga should have an ult ready after this as well, and then we're just waiting on a Rimuru ult. So 22,000, Rimuru does 24, 25, and then the Hero does, I think, 30 something. Yeah, 33, 35, and then we follow up. And the final hit from the Hero does 20? 23. So good damage right there. They weren't guarding, which is good, because that would have cut our damage back a little bit from those normals. So very good there. So now we unfortunately don't have a lot of Rimuru orbs. But we already have a Ranga ult and a Hero ult, so they don't need to be up here anymore. So we're going to swap them both out and try and make room for that one Rimuru orb that's hiding right there in the slot. And then by using Guy, that will be enough to get Rimuru's ult for the final turn. Because we have one more turn right here, right? One more turn to do as much damage as we can. We'll use Guy. The orbs are not boosted, so we're going to boost those up again. We're also going to use Frostbite again. No, we're not going to use Frostbite. It's already active. Let's use the green boost here. We don't really need to heal. We're only taking like 1 damage. So, I mean, you could if you wanted to, but I wouldn't really use the skills. So, there's the green boost. Let's pop Guy. This will get us Rimuru's ult with this 1 orb that we have for him. Greens are boosted again for extra damage, and then we're going to send everything. We have another Guy ready for next turn, so we can get a full 6-card send of greens. And now, here we go. We have a Velzard ult, we have a Misery ult, we have a Rimuru ult, which doesn't matter because they're not going to hit as hard as Ranga and the Hero. We get a sweet counter. There's the Frostbite residual damage right there. So here, we're just going to swap out, right? There's nothing tricksy to play about this. We're going to swap out, and then the green buff is still active from last turn because it lasts for 2 turns. So we don't have to worry about using that again. So all we need to do here is use the Hero crit, and then we also have enough points to use Ranga's guard penetration and his little bit of pierce rate. Just on that off chance that we can get one of our Hero orbs to pierce Beretta, that just will mean more damage for us. So go ahead and swap Ranga out for Velzard. There we go. And then we're going to use the crit and the pierce. And then we'll pop Guy again to make all those into green orbs. They already have the AoE debuff from the last turn of Guy, but it's whatever. We now have a 6-card send. Thankfully, they're all Hero, well, 2 Hero orbs and 1 Rimuru, which will do the most damage. So now we're going to triple ult, and then we're going to send all 3 against Beretta, and that will be the end of boss battle 1. So let's check out the damage that we do here. So Ranga does 25.5, Rimuru does 28, and then the Hero does a 35 again, or 39 on Beretta. And then the follow-ups, of course, she's guarding now, but we're, kind of negating a little bit of that. with the guard penetration skill. And then here comes the ult. So we're at 792, almost 800,000 right here, which is, you know, fairly good. It's higher than the other two, and then we got the residual frostbite bumping us up to 793. So our final score ends up being 42-6, which is, again, higher than the previous two teams that I was showing. So those are 3 teams that you can use for Boss 1. If you have, you know, the units to use one of them, then by all means. If you have the new Space 2.0 team, just use that instead of, you know, trying to bring Hero and all that, and Ranga. It'll do a lot better. But as someone who doesn't have Rain or Leon, have to make do with what we have, and I think we've done a pretty good job for what we are working with. So let's move on to Boss Battle 2, and I only have one team to show you guys that's working for me, so it'll be relatively quick. Alright, here we go. The one team that I can use. I've tried using the Guy team and Belzart on my Asia account. It's not as good of a score that I got using this team on both sides, right? Because this side, I've got an 84 VELDORA, I've got a 100 Hero, 100 Milim, but then on like the Asia side, I've got a 100 VELDORA, so it works out pretty well. But the strategy, you know, have 7 turns to build up, is as many VELDORA stacks as possible, and then you want 220 points on the final turn. So you will ideally have Milim's ult and Drago already used, and then you will have 220 to use the ult boost, the attack boost from Rimuru, the crit boost from the hero, and the space boost on Milim for Milim's ult, Hero's ult, and Rimuru's ult by doing, you know, the maximum amount of damage as we possibly can on this team. It did take me a few runs of this though, because, you know, you have one orb changer who's the starting orb changer, and then you have Shuna who's changing to blues, which for the first like 3 turns of this match are kind of nerfed by a lot. So it's difficult to play around, and it does require a bit of RNG to get that 220 points, those 3 stacks of VELDORA necessary, and then the skill points to actually get up to 220. So let's, I think, jump ahead a little bit. Okay, here we go. I think we were right there, actually. So this is, I think this is... No. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Here's the final section, sorry. I record these in like one big batch, if you haven't already noticed that. Okay, so orb change, turn 1 with Hakuro. Bring in Milim, bring in Hero, work on getting ults, work on getting VELDORA stacks as fast as possible. Getting Milim's ult and then using Drago and hiding her away is really important. And again, here ago, I should have been sending the Milim orbs on the golems. This was recorded before I knew about that strategy, so my score could have been just a tiny bit higher. But I really don't feel like going back and doing it again. So here we have 4 Rimuru cards, which is interesting. Fine, I guess. We'll use the rewind here, I believe. There's the VELDORA stack. Ooh, we're not going to rewind? Okay, yeah. We're going to use the rewind. I think is probably in our best interests. There you go. So, rewind and then use the 4 Rimurus. Work on getting his ult as fast as possible. And then we'll switch back. And then what kind of hand do we have now? It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. We're going to send the heroes, work on getting her ult. We do need Milim, but we have, you know, 1 Milim coming in. The orange and the blue are going to be nerfed. But what do we... Ooh, are we going to do something funky here? Oh, we are. Okay, we're going to go for protection gauge. So we're going to orb change with Shuna right here. Thankfully it changes, you know, what we need. So there we go. We're going to send that. We have another stack of VELDORA now. So we can take Shuna away for Ranga. Or no, for Rimuru, sorry. Alright. Or, because Rimuru already has an ult, we could use Hakuro here in his orb change, which I believe is what we do, which is probably a smarter move. You know, we need skill points, we need protection gauge, we need to get those ults. We have, you know, a couple hero orbs, we have a couple Milim cards, so this will work on getting us to that point where we need, for max skill points, more VELDORA stacks, triple ult. So I think that was in our best interest, and we're not overflowing with protection gauge here. We could have gotten more skill points, but we were already capped out, so it's like, what's the point? There wasn't really a point. So now we have triple ult here, which is good. And now what we can do is we just have to make sure we can get 220 skill points. So here's Rimuru, we're going to stack here, and then we're going to send one of them away. Someone. Or we're just going to use skills. We're just going to use skills here to get that final stack of VELDORA. And then next turn we'll swap out for Shuna and Hakuro and try and make room for as many greens as possible to get us, you know, the skill points that we need. So here is the final stack. We have 3 blues, which is nice. We're going to pop Drago because we're going to send her away after we use this VELDORA stack. So that's important, making sure you have Drago and Milim's ult ready so you don't have to worry, because 220 skill points is literally all the points you need. You know, you'd have 4 big 55-point skills, 220 points. So you need to have used Drago prior to getting to that final turn and 220 max. So we've sent Milim away, we're going to send Rimuru away. We get a very good hand of hero right here, which I believe is enough. Or, ooh, is not quite enough, but we still have one more turn after this, so it is okay. We are very, very close to 220 right here. And then we get, interestingly, some Hakuro orbs, which again are good because they're still space. They don't do a lot of damage, but they are space. And because, you know, at least one of them is green, they are, you know, going to give us that cap for 220. So now what we have to make sure is that we have the orbs necessary to actually bring in Rimuru and Milim. So we have a Shuna orb already that's untouched, and we know we have a Hakuro orb coming in, so there we go. We have 220 skill points, we have triple ult, and we are ready to nuke the crap out of this turn. So we're going to use the ult boost now, because it'll cover the backline, and then we can take her out, and we can take Hakuro out. So Hakuro goes away. And then Shuna goes away. It'd be really good if we had, you know, 3 oranges or 3 blues or whatever, but there's the attack, the crit, the space. So this is literally everything. We have 0 points. And now it's time to nuke. And then we'll send the Milim because she has the Drago. Again, should be sending that on the golems for that extra bit of damage, but it is what it is. Rimuru does 80k. The hero does 110 on Beretta, and then Milim does 200. And then the follow-up, 24, and then 39. So she probably actually would have done like 210 or something against the Golem, so it would have gone up to 960 something, maybe 70. But there you go. There is the team that I've been using on both accounts, right? On both sides, NA and Asia. That has given me the highest score that I can get out of it. So it's the only one I have to show. You can definitely, if you have New Space 2.0, use that instead. It will do a lot better. You'll score like 40k more points than me probably. You can try the Cabby team, but because you're not stacking up with VELDORA, and you can have the points. You might have multiple ults, but I don't really know about its viability here. So let me know in the comments what you guys were using for boss battles. If there was a different team that you used that you found success with, let me know and let the community know. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.